Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up? Back at you again with yet another car video. Many select men start out on college campuses. Yeah. And just to let you know, we just gonna start going deeper. Anybody who wants to deal with women with multiple baby mamas or ratchets and, always putting them down. I'm like, dude, you need to deal with better quality women. And when you're talking better quality women, you're talking more educated women. You're talking those 92 octanes, you know, those women who got six-figure jobs and they messing with educated men, you know. Now, I know some dudes don't want to believe that because, their narrative is we're smarter than Pookie and Ray Ray. But first of all, Pookie and Ray Ray, most of them, I already said, most of them ain't select anyway. And you know, to even think that it ignores all the professional men, or if we specifically talking in the black community, professional black men who got advanced degrees who are knocking them down. Now, when I say many select men begin on a college campus, this ain't something I'm saying. I mean, I've said several times, shit, I got degrees from two different universities, so I would see it at firsthand. In fact, when I was a freshman in college, a dude who women were going crazy over was my first mentor. Because he had hit me up because I was a little crazy when I was a freshman in college. And this dude went on to Meharry Medical School. And if I got to tell you about Meharry Medical School, or if you don't know, that means you really don't know. But, it's you'll find really on a college campus, that's when you really see that sexual hierarchy. Anybody who doubts that honestly ain't been to college. And this ain't no diss if you haven't, but I'm just being real. I'm telling you the social environment. Because of what happens is a lot of cats, they might come in and they might not have been the man or something in high school, but then they might come into college or something, and they might join one of the frats, especially if they go to a HBCU. For those who don't know what that means, that's a historically black college or university. And wait a minute, y'all. I'm gonna see when I can pull out. We're gonna let a brother through. Alright, thanks, man. You cool today. You're the cool white folk today. So, anyway, they go there, and then whatever issue they might have had in high school, it might go away in college. Because you go to a college, shoot, you get all these women from all over, especially if it's a major college, especially if it's like a major Division I school or something, or even an HBCU. You really see that there. And shit, they away from home, they living on campus, introduced to new things. Shit, those women be fucking like crazy, but they only fucking certain men on college. So usually the hierarchy on college campus is whatever frat is running the yard, whatever frat is challenging them. Usually frats, especially on black college campuses, white college campuses too. Because a lot of times with those white fraternities and stuff, they got like sororities and stuff who the women's really sole purpose is to get them a well-situated husband. So you either have like the fraternities, then you probably have the jocks, especially if the team gets on TV, got some fame. I remember in college, we'll be sitting around watching a football game or something, and then somebody score, and the fellas be like, and these are white guys now, they were like, yeah, he's gonna get his cut tonight. Shoot, like if you're a college jock, and I know some people say, well, they still dumb or whatever. It's like, no, that might have been years ago where they could just skated, but they cracked down on that. So usually they forced to study. In fact, they usually maliks, genius bruisers and stuff, because they actually forced to study. Because, like I said, graduated from two different universities, and any players or any guys who were having trouble academically, they either kicked out or they forced to sit in like some study hall. They forced to study. And just as an aside, like I know a guy who went to my undergrad at St. Joe's, and I just found out he's on the board of trustees. And that dude, he was started sometimes on the basketball team, and now he's a surgeon. But anyway, you got the jocks, you got the frats, whoever's running the yard, and anybody who went to college, graduated school, shout yourself out. Shout out your frat too, especially frats. Like we got two prominent people, in the Manosphere section. They welcome to join the select Manosphere. Very welcome to join the select Manosphere, and that's Alan Roger Curry and Kevin Samuels. Both of them are Kappas. I feel privileged with Kappas, though, as an aside and stuff. A group of Kappas let me party with them. I was like the only non-Kappa in the room. And they were like cool. None of them messed with me because, Rom was cool. And that goes to that next group. You get on a college campus, there's just some cats, they just cool. They just cool. They just either a combination, they got some charisma, maybe they look good, some sex appeal, something like that. So usually what happens, that's where really a place where you hone the game. You get some cats, they go into school and they punch into the right network. All of a sudden their game gets raised. They get frats. Frats ain't gonna let their dudes go around busted and shit. The ball players, shit, they get pussy by default. All they have to do is just be winning, just not be an embarrassment. And that usually he's talking about football and basketball, but I remember early 90s, Howard University had a soccer team that was kicking ass, and it was getting back to me. They were getting their dick sucked like a motherfucker. Oh, it didn't hurt that they had athletic builds. So, the select guys usually start there, and then when they get out of school, they have like two things. One, they develop those select muscles, if you will. That's one thing. But two, they've already punched into some networks. Because one thing, when you're dealing with like the high value women, and we got to start introducing that term. Like I said, I'm tired of talking about like women with multiple children and ratchets. If you really look at what a lot of men talk about in the main black manosphere, they really ain't talking about. They talking about lower tier women anyway that a select man wouldn't mess with. Shout out Cousin T-Taw, he said that they wouldn't mess with some of these women. It was like those women barely register on a select man's radar. Shoot, because they punching into those higher tit networks. Oh, and I always know somebody gonna talk some shit. If you doubt how I roll, just check my IG. I keep my receipts there. That's all I gotta say. In one look, y'all can tell how I roll in 4 pictures. So, but guys got to roll up into those higher circles. But the problem with those higher circles, to even get access to them, especially in the black community, it can't be like you just some regular old dude. That's why I say when you get up into those higher circles, shit, you got to be even to be the side piece. You got to be at a certain level. Like the only exception to that dude got to be an alpha showpiece. Once again, shout out Cousin T-Taw, and that's that dude who's just combination of handsome and muscular. He's just a physical specimen. And even then, the women, those higher level women, she ain't gonna walk out with them. She ain't gonna walk out with them because when you deal with those higher value women, shoot, image is everything. Shout out Kevin Samuels. Hit him up. He'll tell you. Kevin Samuels will tell you. Shoot, that image is when you deal with that level. So they ain't just dealing with any old dudes. When they meet you, the first thing they probably ask is what you do for a living. That's the first thing. Where you went to school. And then if they knew anybody, hey, so-and-so or whatever. And if they really like that, like upper class, like what people mistakenly call the boule. And I say, reason why I say that, because the Boule is just a men's organization, specific men's organization. Or I'll use a black bourgeoisie. When you start dealing with those bougie folks, shoot. And that's a whole other thing, because that's where you really see the sexual underworld and stuff. And they're very meticulous. To deal with them, you gotta have a little something going on, not just some like ordinary dude or something. They want to know your degree and how much you want to, how discreet you can keep things. And usually, the way they operate in that underworld at that level, or shadow world at that level and stuff, they usually, if you know somebody, they in that world, and they say, oh yeah, we're going on this ski trip, got a ski group or a travel group or something. Trust me, those are the ones be getting those mansions. Trust me. And it's a whole different level, and that's just the shadow world. You get to, especially if you talk about the surface world stuff. Shoot, they want to know what's up, how you carry yourself. Like a few weeks ago, I talked kind of about this, and I had some dudes say, "Well, I seen some Pookie and Razors with some professional women." I guarantee they weren't professional. I guarantee it. A lot of times, some dudes see a woman dressed up and thinking she professional. Nah, she could be an office worker. She probably is. There's a few more signs I could tell where somebody is. They are each level, each octane got a uniform. And a lot of times dudes see a woman who's probably just a regular bank teller, part-time bank teller, who got to dress up, and they thinking, oh, she professional. Now, she ain't a professional or really up a tier, but she got a degree and a professional license, or at least a professional degree. And they really don't dip down like that. They really don't dip down. And I know somebody had challenged that too. It's like, look, let me just say this real quick. A lot of people get the term hypergamy wrong. They just say it, oh, she's always going for higher. Hypergamy is like higher social class. So at the very least, they look for a woman in their class, or a woman looks for a man in her class or a bit higher. That's hypergamy. She don't dip down. And the overwhelming majority won't even dip down, even if the dude fine. But yeah, most guys, and like I said, if you graduated college or went to college, you seen what I'm talking about. Shout yourselves out. All the frat dudes who y'all know y'all be running trains and shit on women. Oh man, yeah, shit. I call y'all educated gangs and shit. Yeah, I love all y'all though. I love all y'all. I'm just being real. Y'all know it. Y'all know somebody mess with y'all. Shit, y'all get down and dirty. Y'all don't give a fuck about Pookie and Ray Ray. Pookie and Ray Ray need to be scared of y'all. I know how y'all get down. But yeah. But that's just real talk. That's just real talk. See, I'm gonna tell you what. Let me just say this real quick. It's very easy. Like a lot of people be like, well, stats say this or stats say that, but in scientific fields like sociology or anthropology, field research, or what they're called qualitative research, going native and actually living in social culture that you're talking about counts just as much. In fact, the quantitative research often comes from the qualitative research. You can't test shit out in a laboratory, but you can test it out in the real world when you actually see it. And I'm going to talk about something else too tomorrow. Speaking of that, that's a whole other subject. I'll be here another 30 minutes talking. So anyway, y'all have a good day now. Peace and many blessings.